Hey guys, David Patrick Green, davidpatrickgreen.com, hackhollywood.com, actorpower.com. Today I want to talk about one of the most important things about your acting career, and that is about getting paid and how to get paid the most possible. And really how to figure out what your value is, how to know what to ask for, how to know when to stop. It's like the old Kenny Rogers song. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, know when to walk away and know when to run. So how to determine your pay is mainly a reflection of what you've done in the past, because what you've done in the past is an indication of what you can do for people now. So those of you starting out, you can really just expect to get scale offers for everything, and that's assuming you're in the union. If you are non-union, then it's a little trickier because they can virtually offer you anything above the minimum wage. So first thing you need to do is figure out what the minimum wage is in the location where you live, wherever that is in the world, whatever state, municipality, region you're in. Figure out what the minimum wage is, and they can't pay you anything less than that. Okay, so even if it's a daily rate, that's for a day of 8 hours or whatever, and there should be overtime paid beyond a certain point, and the minimum for that should follow whatever your state or local rules are. Okay, so you need to figure out that. And frankly, they're going to try and underpay you, and often in non-union jobs, and this is one of the reasons they created a union, is that they are going to try to underpay you. Whether it's intentional or not, it doesn't really matter, but they will do it. And so it's very important for you to understand what you are allowed to be paid, and when it hits a certain mark, that you know you're getting overtime or what have you, and meal breaks and all that kind of stuff. And it's very important for you guys to negotiate that into your salary before you begin, and say, what are the meal breaks, and what happens if the production doesn't meet the requirements by law. Because most actors are so happy to have a job, they don't ever ask these questions or do anything about it. And trust me, you would rather not have a job than get stuck on a production where they really don't care about you, where they subject you to dangerous situations. You know, sometimes your life could actually be in jeopardy, because on a non-union set, they will ask you to do all kinds of crazy things that were never mentioned beforehand. And so it's very important to delineate, this is what I'm here to do. If I'm asked to do anything else, I'm not going to do it, or it's got to be subject to, you know, the laws of the area, etc. But let's talk about the union jobs, because this is where we all kind of want to be. So scale is whatever, just depends again where you live, but let's say it's $1,000 a day. And that's pretty much what you can expect when you're doing co-star stuff, small parts on TV shows, small parts on movies. It's going to seem like you can't believe you're working on a $100 million movie, and they're paying you the minimum. They're paying you next to nothing. The good news is there are stipulations for overtime, meal breaks, you'll get residuals, all that stuff, which will be negotiated by your union. But what happens when you get above the scale level, and how do you know when you are above the scale level? Well, when you've done a certain amount of work, then you can start to negotiate what they call a day rate. And you know, whatever your day rate is, and it's a quote. Basically, it's what the your agent will basically mention your quote probably before you even go into audition, because they don't want to audition you if they already decided they don't want to pay you what you asked for. So you'll get a quote, and that can be based on whatever work you've done in the past, the fact that you've proven yourself, you have a track record, you know, you've got stuff on your resume that proves you're a professional and that you can do the job at an extremely high level. And the proof of that is that other people have hired you. And you know, your reel is an indication of that as well. Now, that's for, you know, that's your quote, your day rate. But then what about situations that don't involve doing the same types of things? What about people doing other types of work? There's a lot of different kinds of work these days. There's internet stuff there's motion capture, performance capture, voice work, and all of that. And how do you negotiate these pay rates when you don't know what their cap is, what their willingness to pay is? Well, you need to understand what the value is that you bring, and you need to set a mark that is the minimum you are willing to work for this particular project. And you have to be willing to accept that you will say no. And you know what? It's great to say no. It's incredibly empowering. It's scary, but it's okay. Trust me, this is when you know you are getting to the next level, when you feel like you have the opportunity to say no to people. Okay? And so you need to set whatever your minimum is, the minimum you are willing to work at, and then pick a number that you're going to ask for. And understand this, everybody pretty much is working for the producers, because the casting directors, who are basically going to be the ones that make you the offer, they work for the producers. Okay, we know that. But your agent has, let's say, 50 clients, and they have to deal with these casting directors over and over and over. So despite the fact that they are getting money for you and they'll get a cut of that money, they cannot risk alienating the casting directors and theretofore the producers. So it's really important to understand that really the only people that are on your side are you and your friends and family. Everybody else is more or less aligned with the producers, and any actor that comes and says, I want this, they're going to try and talk you out of it. I can guarantee it. Even your agent will say, oh, they're never going to go for that. And you're going to go, aren't you on my side? And they're going to go, yeah, of course we are, but we know how these things work. No, what they mean when they say we know how these things work is that we don't want to push back because the casting director is putting pressure on us and says, look, they're so-and-so, they're getting a great offer, and you know, there's other people, and it's take it or leave it. And you're going to hear that, and it's not take it or leave it, okay? Everything they say is absolute garbage. It's baloney. It's to try and trick you into working for less money than you're actually worth. So you need to pick a number, and this is why you need to be in charge of everything in your life and in your acting career. And you need to tell them, okay, offer them this, or tell them I want to work for this. So if they're offering you $1,000 a day, maybe you say 5,000, and your minimum is 2,000. So they're never going to go for that, and you say, just do it. And just tell them, here's why. And make a case for yourself. Okay, this is like sort of legal work, okay? You need to create a case whereby you're gonna win with the preponderance of the evidence on your side. But they may say, you know what, regardless of how great this person is, we think they're replaceable. And they may say, it's this, take it or leave it. And at that point, you have to say, okay, well, it's below my minimum, so I'm gonna leave it. And everyone's going to freak out, and they're going to tell you, you know what, if you turn down work, you'll never get offered work, and all of that is completely incorrect. They will just start to see that you are not someone to be trifled with, because, you know, Robert De Niro gets paid more than scale, so do lots of other actors. They get millions and millions of dollars, and trust me, it's not because they bring in box office necessarily. They need to put the movie on somebody's back, but it can be anybody. You know, if you're playing a Marvel superhero, it doesn't really matter who you are. You're Thor. Thor is what's selling the movie. Nobody cares really that much whether it's, you know, Chris Hemsworth or whoever it is that's playing Thor when you read this or see this. So there it is, guys. That's really how you negotiate. You have to have a lot of intestinal fortitude, because there is the risk that you won't get the job, but you need to pick a minimum at which you will work, and then you need to ask for, you know, a number that you really think you're worth, and ask for that number, and then see what happens, because they may say it's what we offered, take it or leave it, in which case you get to say, fine, I'll leave it, and see what happens then. The thing is, you never really know what will happen until you actually say, okay, well, I'm not willing to work for that amount of money. And then maybe they'll discover that they have a little more money than you thought, or that they thought. Because let me tell you, when they're offering you $1,000 a day on a $150 million movie, they can spare a few $1,000s. I can promise you that, okay? You know, for animation alone, they will spend 3 weeks animating one scene with a team of like 20 people doing it. And I don't have no idea what they're getting paid, but it's in the thousands of dollars a day, okay? So just understand how this business works, and you really need to learn to negotiate on your own behalf. I would read books on negotiations, but at the end of the day, unfortunately, it's usually your agent doing it, and they're not going to stick their neck out very far on your behalf. So that's why you need to decide ahead of time what's your maximum you think you're worth and what's the minimum that you will work for. And if it's non-union, you need to also set the terms under which you will work, and you just tell them, I'm out of here, if they decide to breach those terms. You've got to stick up for yourself. Okay guys, I hope this was helpful. I know it was, but hopefully you'll understand how helpful it was, because I wish somebody told me this stuff when I was starting out. Anyway, if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Please make a comment, ask a question, and click on the old bell, and you'll get subscriptions to more videos just like this. We'll talk to you soon.